Welcome to the 5-4 Travel Talk podcast with Christy, Gina, Eric, and Kyle. Now, sit back and relax. Let's chat about some magical destinations. Hi everybody, this is Gina, and welcome to another edition of 5-4 Travel Talk. And guess what? This one is super different because I am doing it all by myself. Not gonna lie, pretty sad this week because everybody is gone on a trip but me. Eric and Christy are on a guru adventure. They are with a lot of other agents sailing on the Disney Magic this week, and Kyle is in California. Now, granted, he's work, but he's still in California, in San Francisco, so or at least in the Bay Area. Not a bad place to be. So it's just me by myself. Hope you don't get tired of hearing me talk. This will be a pretty short episode anyway, but I did want to talk about something today that is, I think, a true problem for people whenever they travel. I know I speak from great experience when I talk about this subject, and hopefully it will be informative and helpful for you. My family, almost every single one of us suffer from anxiety in some form or fashion, and I know a lot of people do. So the thing I wanted to discuss today is travel anxiety. How do you deal with that? What are some ways that you can cope with a companion or someone that's traveling with you that has travel anxiety? Or if you suffer from it yourself, or maybe you have a child that does, what are some things that you can do to help alleviate their worries? So I've got 5 tips. I didn't get these off of Google somewhere. I completely made this list up from my heart, because these are things that we do, that I personally use whenever we travel to help everybody in my family, including myself. So first off on the list is read about your location. Information is key when you're traveling. So by reading, I mean get to know your destination really well. Obviously, you know where you're going because you bought the airline tickets or the theme park tickets or whatever, but really get to know this destination and what you can expect when you get there. It's so much so that you may want to download maps of an airport terminal or a train terminal so you actually know, okay, we're arriving at gate D3. What does that look like to get to baggage claim? So you can have a sense of leadership whenever you get there, and you can kind of help everyone else that's traveling with you know what to do. I did this whenever we were traveling to Europe for my own sake, because I like to know what I'm doing. Plus, I knew we were going to be arriving in foreign countries, so the signage was possibly going to be different. Now, the great thing about Europe is that a lot of the signage is in dual languages, so you might have Italian and English, which is fantastic, but it really helped to know, okay, this is where we're arriving in this terminal in baggage claim. When we get off, we're going to need to head to the right. And from there, you know, what steps there are, because all airports are laid out differently. What's customs going to look like? Maybe if you can, if you're going to a theme park, you know, let your family watch some YouTube videos. Try to get maps of the theme parks. I know that I try to provide my clients all with maps of the Disney parks before they go, because I think it helps them with the scale and with getting comfortable about where they're going to be heading. So that's my first tip. Really get to know where you're going, and get as much information as you possibly can from reputable sources, not from a Facebook group that sounds like they know what they're talking about, because some of those groups are not great information providers and can actually amp up your anxiety. So anyway, tip number 2 is have a backup plan. You know, things are always going to go wrong when you are on a vacation or you're traveling. That's just how life is, right? Everyday life, things go wrong. So what you really want to make sure you do is have a backup plan for certain situations. So it's not a catastrophic end of life kind of thing that's going on. So let's say you've got your day planned out in Disney and today is your Epcot day. Well, you wake up and it is thunderstorms. I mean, like torrential thunderstorms. So, what do? Do you stay in your room and cry and whine and be miserable and just have a complete and utter panic attack because now you don't get to do what you had planned for that day? No, you initiate your backup plan. So your backup plan might be that, okay, well, today we're going to resort hop because we can take a bus to Magic Kingdom and we can walk over to the Contemporary and then ride the monorail. Or it might be, hey, you know what? We brought ponchos. What's a little rain going to stop us? Because until it does start thundering and lightning, all the rides, including the big rides like the roller coasters, are going to be running. So a lot of the parks, when it rains, is a great day to go to Disney because everybody stays home. None of the locals come, but it makes life a little, going from one ride to another may not be the best scenario as far as walking, but if it's just a light rain or whatever, go to the parks. If not, then maybe do some resort hopping where you're actually able to stay indoors for the most part. There's also other things going on at Disney that you could go to. You could go to Splitsville and go bowling. You could go to the spa and get some spa treatments. There's all kinds of things that you can do, but really being prepared and having a backup plan is key to dealing with those high anxiety situations. So let's say you arrive at an airport and you're supposed to have a transfer pick you up, a car, and the car doesn't arrive. Well, guess what? That happened to us in Europe. And so then you're like, wow, now what do we do? Well, I had kind of planned for that situation and knew that that's the high probable thing. So I had all the paperwork and all the emails that I had gotten from the transfer company, and they had an emergency line to call. So I called. And here, once again, when you're traveling abroad, English is a real well-known language. Most countries outside of America teach English as a second language. So, I was able to communicate and able to find out that a rider was stuck in traffic, but he was actually en route and would be there in about 10 minutes. So we just chilled out, had a cup of coffee, and he came running up and, profusely apologizing. But it's okay. We knew what to do. We had a backup plan. So we didn't stand in the middle of the airport terminal just all panicking. We had a backup plan. All right, so let's move on to tip number 3. Tip number 3 is to really rely on your travel agent. Now, of course, I would say that, right? But I'm being truthful because we are your source. Your travel agent is your source of comfort, your source of information. We're only going to give you information from vetted sources. So we're not going to just go reference some Facebook group that has Sally Sue that really has only been to Disney one day and, she thinks she's an expert. No, we know what we're talking about when we have you go to certain places, or we designate certain spots for you to use as a get out and get away from the crowds. This is when we tell you things, you can trust your travel agent that they are speaking from experience. Not only do they have personal knowledge of the places that you're going, but they also have a wide variety of sources that they can get information from that are truly, really great sources of information. We also have, if you're traveling abroad, we have contacts in all the locations where you're going to be going. So if something were to go wrong, let's say we showed up and our hotel only had us down for 2 nights, but we were supposed to be there for 3. Well, guess what? And there is an in-country contact for us, and my travel agent could, being myself, but I could talk to the supplier that I went through to book that room and get everything taken care of. And I would have been able, had I had somebody else as a travel agent, they would have taken care of it and we could have gone about our tours or whatever. That didn't happen, thankfully. Very rarely does it, but I will give you one instance. I had some clients that showed up at their room at Port Orleans Riverside at Walt Disney World, which I had never had a problem with, and their room was less than satisfactory. She sent me some pictures, and I was like, whoa, this is not up to Disney par. So I said, you know what? You guys go to the park, leave your bags sitting in your room. I'm going to take care of this for you. And that's what they did. They went off. They had a great time. I contacted Port Orleans Riverside for them on their behalf and made sure that they had someone go look at the room. And they agreed it was not up to par. And they changed rooms for them, took care of their luggage, everything. So, and actually even gave them a little bit of magic when they got back to their room. So that was really great on Disney's side. But for my clients, instead of them like panicking, they're going to have to stay in this room that's got broken towel rods and things falling apart. They didn't have to. I dealt with it. And that's why you have a travel agent for us. For when something goes wrong, you can lean on us and we will help soothe away those anxiety issues for you. We can help you work through some of those. So tip number 4 is, as you're planning and you're talking about your trip and what you're going to be doing for vacation, things are going to pop up that might be worrisome things. Go ahead and write those things down. Let's say your child comes to you and says, but mommy, I don't really think I like roller coasters and I don't know what I'm going to do. What, you're all going to go ride a roller coaster and then I'm going to be sitting there by myself and I don't know, I don't want to sit by myself. I'm going to be scared. Well, you know what? Tell him or her that, hey, let's write that down. And then we'll come up with an action plan on how to deal with that. But we're not going to worry about it right now. We're going to write it down and we know that problem's going to be addressed before we go. Do that. Get that out of your head or get that out of your companion or child's head so that the natural thing with anxiety is it spirals and it gets bigger and bigger. And this one thing that's a little problem actually blows up and becomes a really big problem in their mind. But if you can get them to, let's write it down, we're going to come up with a plan so we don't have to worry about this. There it goes. It's gone away. They're doing good. So my last and final tip for today is have medication. If you suffer from anxiety, then you can go to your doctor and explain to them that you're going to be traveling and that it's going to be causing you a little bit of anxiety and panic before you go. They will prescribe you a medication that will help alleviate, let you not worry about those things. And you know what? Sometimes it's just nice to have that as a security blanket to know if you start feeling like you're going to have a panic attack, you've got that backup medication that you can take that will help you work through it. If medication isn't your thing, then maybe it is something from home that's very comforting to you, a blanket or your pillow or a smell, something that when you instantly have it, it kind of brings you back to reality and can help you get out of a panic attack mode, because that's what's so important. You don't want to be traveling and have such a big panic that your anxiety gets so overwhelming, it throws you into a panic attack, and then that spirals and you wind up passing out or whatever. We don't want that to happen. So anything that we can do that will bring you back to safety and security, really helps a lot. So make sure that you pack those things if you need to pack them, or that you pack your medication. Just another thing that popped into my head along with the lists is a packing list. Make that along the way of the things that you know are important to you or to your family members. And then when the time comes and you're getting ready a couple of days beforehand, packing your suitcase, you can refer to your list to make sure you have all those maybe small, minor little things that would potentially be a big deal if you didn't have those once you got to wherever you're going. So like I said, I just wanted to share these few tips with you by myself and let you know that it's natural to have some anxiety when you're traveling, especially if you're going somewhere new, but there are things that you can easily do to get yourself through those, or get your companions or children through it. So, anyway, just hope this helps and look forward to seeing everybody back together maybe next week when we record. So, hope you have a great week and we will see you soon. Safe travels.